This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. It sure is great having you join me here in these online lessons. This is lesson 25 in this mini course on finger picking. So this is great. In this lesson, we're going to work on more thumb independence. So in the last couple lessons, we've worked on moving the thumb between a bass note and an alternate bass note. In this lesson, we're going to get even more involved with the moving of the thumb. So it's going to have more independence. We're also going to work index and middle fingers, middle and ring fingers. So let's go ahead and take a look at this pattern. We're in 4/4 time, though we're working with triplets. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. We did this in the last couple lessons, so this would also work for 12/8 time. And if we only used half of a measure, that would work for 6/8 time or 2/4 time, and then we'll look at how we could vary it for 3/4 time or 9/8 time in a moment. But we're going to use index and middle, just thumb, index, and middle for this pattern. Now we're going to assign the index finger to the second string and the middle to the top string. So right now we're out of that standard formation where we have index on the third and middle on the second and ring on the high string. So we're just going to work index and middle. Index is going to pluck the second string, middle is going to pluck the top string. And then for now, as we're getting going here, we'll just pluck the bass note of the chord. So if I was doing E minor, though it's not going to quite sound like it because we don't have a third of the chord to tell us it's minor. We're just getting root, 5, root, which is okay. Context would also help us hear that, but we just want to work that. So we're going to have the bass note, index, middle. We can speed that up. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Let's look at the chords in the first progression we're going to work on. I've got 2 different progressions for us to practice with. We'll get going and demonstrate things here on G, with the one in G. Here, the first one, G, C, G, D, G, C, D, and G. So on G, we'd pluck that 6th string for that root. So you can be comfortable there. Then the C chord. We pluck the 5th with the root note of the bass note. And D, we'd have the 4th. Once we've got that, we're going to start working on some more thumb independence. So with the G chord, and I have it written up here, we can go root, 3, 5, 3. This is actually kind of great. In our bass note, in our thumb, it's not going to be, it's still going to function kind of like a bass note, but our thumb can pluck the root, then it can pluck the 3rd, then the 5th, and back to the 3rd. So that's going to be the 6th string, the 5th string, the 4th string, and the 3rd string, or the 5th string, giving us the 3rd again. So 6, 5, 4, 5. So it's just plucking those low bass strings. 6, 5, 4, 5. Okay, so once you've got that figured out where you're going with your thumb to play those notes, we can insert the rest of the pattern. So thumb, index, middle. String to the 4th string to the 5th string, which gives us root, 3, 5, 3. So that works really great with a G chord. It also works really great with the C chord. We have the same type of movement. So our root with the C chord is on the 5th string. That's where our bass note is. Then on the next string we have the 3rd, and then on the next string we have the 5th. And then back to the 3rd. So we go strings 5, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 4. Gives us that same sort of chord arpeggio. And if we insert the rest of the pattern, we would have. Oop, gotta put a full C down. You get that same kind of thing happening with that C chord, though. Different notes on top compared to the G chord. We can do that same kind of movement in our thumb. Which works great. Now when we get to the D chord, if we play it here in first position, like our standard D, we can't can't get up to the third. We can do the root and the fifth, or the root and the fifth going lower, but we can't actually get up to the third. Unless we were to play the bar chord version that comes from the C shape, then you could actually do it with D the same way that we did it with C. But I'm going to go ahead and say, well, what do we do when we have a chord that doesn't fit that mold? Well, because we're voiced different. In this case, and I've got it written up here, you can do the bass note and an alternate bass note, the bass note, or an alternate bass note again and again. So we can go, for example, 4th string, where we have our bass, to the 5th of the chord, which is on the 3rd string. So we could just do that twice, which is a lot like what we did in the last couple lessons. Or you could go to the lower one. So we're just alternating with the 5th there. And you could create a variation. You could go to the higher one, back to the root, to the lower one. That's really kind of the options we have with the D chord. So I'm just we're working on thumb independence here, so I'm going to go root to the 3rd string, back to that root, down to the 5th string. So that's what I'll do when we get to the D. Let's try putting it all together with the whole progression. So we'll do each chord, 2 measures on each chord, so you get 2 times through the whole pattern. Good opportunity to practice that way. So you're going to go 1 and 2 and ready and go and G. Do it again, just 1 measure per chord. 1 and 2 and ready and go and G, C, G, D, G, C, Okay, so some variations on that. One is, this practices a lot with index and middle. So we can actually use thumb, middle, ring, assigning middle to the 2nd string and ring to the top string, and we could do the same thing, only use those fingers instead. So that's an important variation. When I work on this sort of thing, I always make sure to work both fingers. You could actually also do index and ring, thumb, index, ring, so thumb. So you work on the different combinations of which you could use 2 fingers. We're using index, middle here. We could do middle and ring, or index and ring. So a couple different variations on using your fingers. And then another thing is we can actually move what strings these are on. So we can do a variation on the string assignments. So maybe I wanted to practice this one with what would be available if I put my index on the 3rd string and my middle on the 2nd string. Or if I did a variation, I would still be plucking that 3rd and 2nd string. So that would change things. as far as the sound goes, for what the chord is happening, of course that's going to really change what I can do with C. I can't go up to that fifth, so in that case I could go root 3, root, and maybe down to the fifth, but I would get some sort of alteration in there, just like we did with the D, where I just alternate strings. And then when I get to the D chord, I only have a couple of options, going that root to the lower root, or any of those 4-string chords. But I could create variations just like that. And then of course I could, with that moving of the strings, do my index and ring or middle and ring as alternate options in how I'm plucking that. Now to do it in 3/4 time or for 9/8 time, all I need to do is drop a beat, and so it makes sense to drop the final beat. So for example, for the G chord, I can play it just going root 3, 5. And when I do the C, I could do the same thing. And then for the D, I can do a couple different things. I could go root 5, root, which works really well, or go to that lower root. Or I could go root, high 5th, low 5th, and it'll bring me back. So I've got a couple different options there. Let's go ahead and play this one. On that D, I'm just going to go root to the higher root, or to the 5th, on the higher string back to the root. So here we go. 1 and a 2 and a go and a G, C, there we are on all the different alterations. Now I've thrown up here another chord progression because the different chord voicings are their voice different. So that one we were just doing, the root 3, 5, 3 works, or in that case in 3/4 time, root 3, 5 works great for G and C, but doesn't work for D. It also doesn't work for A and E. So I've got another progression up here just to explore what it would look like. So you have a couple different options with the A chord. We could do the same sort of thing that we've done with D, where we could go the root to that higher 5th, back to the root to the lower 5th. So that's an option for A. We could also just keep going higher. So we have root 5, root 5, which is kind of nice. It keeps with that same sort of pattern of going higher and higher on the strings and then coming back down. With the E chord, it works kind of similarly. I have the root and then the 5th, and then I could go back to the root and the 5th. But if I wanted 3 different strings, I have the root, 5th, up to the higher root and back. So that's how that's going to work. I'm still moving my thumb from the 6th string to the 5th to the 4th to the 5th, or from the 5th to the 4th to the 3rd to the 4th. But I'm playing different notes, and that's okay. D, we kind of have to do what we did, same as before, where we can go root to the higher 5th, to the root to the lower 5th. That's about all we've got. Let's go ahead and do that chord progression then, 1 measure per chord. So you got 1 and a 2 and a ready and a go and a A. So that sort of thing is just going on the various chords you might play. This could work for 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, just by the alterations that I gave on how to adapt it. With 2/4, you just use half a measure. 3/4, drop a beat there at the end. 4/4 as is, which also aligns because of the triplets. It will work for 12/8, 9/8, and 6/8 as well with those same amounts of beats. You just have to drop the number you don't need for 6/8 and for 9/8. So I hope that helps. Hope you are having fun with the guitar in the next lesson. So lesson 26, we're going to continue working on this sort of thing, but with another picking pattern. So we'll see you then. Take care. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For more in-depth lessons and to progress through a free guitar course, check out my Guitar 101 series on YouTube and my guitar method books, which all come with access to hours of in-depth video lessons. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.